Hi, my name is Jason Salemi. I'm an associate professor of epidemiology at the University of South Florida's College of Public Health. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about something that I continue to see shared on social media, sometimes even in the news. And it's a graphic that looks something like this, where you can see if I were to take the total number of COVID-19 deaths among unvaccinated people and compare that to the total number of deaths among vaccinated and or boosted people, in some cases, you're going to find that the two numbers are either very similar, or in heavily vaccinated areas, you'll actually see more deaths among vaccinated people. And of course, people are trying to use this as evidence that either the vaccines don't work at all, or worse yet, they're actually harmful and increasing the likelihood of death. And of course, that is not true. So I wanted to quickly walk through why we can look at data like this and you can see both things be factual. We can both see more deaths among vaccinated people, and the vaccine is still very effective at preventing severe illness and death. So to walk you through this, I came up with a very oversimplified example. We're going to assume that we're focusing on people in the United States that are 65 years of age or older. And what we're going to assume up front is that vaccine efficacy is 90%. And what that means in this case is the rate of COVID death among unvaccinated people is going to be 10 times higher than the rate of COVID death in vaccinated people. And so we're going to assume that the population of seniors in the United States is exactly 50 million. In fact, it's a little bit higher than that. And if we look at the rate of COVID death in a month among unvaccinated people, that's going to be 20 people per 100,000 in the population. And among vaccinated people, only 2 in every 100,000 people are going to die from COVID every month. And so what I've done to show you where the problem emerges from, I've given you 3 different examples. On the left here, you can see this is if we were to achieve only 5% of seniors vaccinated in the United States. And so you can see, if we look at the distribution of vaccinated and unvaccinated people in the entire population, of course, 95% are unvaccinated, 5% are vaccinated. But if we actually looked at the distribution of COVID deaths, remember everybody who is unvaccinated dies at a rate of 20 per 100,000 in this month. Everybody who is vaccinated dies at a rate of 2 per 100,000. And so even though unvaccinated people make up 95% of the population of seniors, they make up 99.5% of COVID-19 deaths. Let's say we did a much better job and we increased vaccination rates to 50%. So again, if you look at the population, you can see it's 50-50. 25 million people who are seniors who are unvaccinated, 25 million who are vaccinated. But if you look at the COVID deaths, again, even though unvaccinated people make up 50% of the population, they make up 91% of the deaths. Now, if we assume a highly vaccinated population, in the United States, I think right now, if we talk about the initial series, about 93% of seniors have been vaccinated. Just to make the numbers round off a little better, we're going to assume 95% vaccination in this population of 50 million seniors. And so you can see that there's much fewer people who are not vaccinated. They make up 5% of the population, but they make up 34.5% of all deaths. But here's where the problem emerges. Look at the number of deaths, just the number. You see 950 COVID deaths this month in seniors who are vaccinated, which is way more than the number of deaths in seniors who are not vaccinated. And so that's where individuals tend to focus, is on that sheer number, because that sounds scary, right? We see more deaths among seniors who are fully vaccinated than deaths among seniors who are unvaccinated. But let's think about this another way. Let's look in all of these scenarios. If all 50 million people who were seniors in this example were unvaccinated, we would take those 50 million people, multiply it by the rate of a COVID death in that month among unvaccinated people, because nobody's vaccinated, and that would equal 10,000 COVID deaths. But if you look at each of the 3 scenarios that I just gave you and just added up the number of deaths, look at what's happening. We go from, if we had 5% vaccination rate, 9,550 deaths. If we had 50% vaccinated, 5,500, much fewer. And if we had 95% vaccinated, only 1,450 deaths. To make that a little easier to understand, imagine this is a schematic. So each of the characters right now that you see in black represent 50 COVID deaths in a month. When you start to see the ones that are, have the absence of that color, they're kind of white shaded, that is 50 averted COVID deaths. So again, right now, if everybody is unvaccinated, this represents 10,000 COVID deaths this month. Once we have 5% of seniors vaccinated, look at this. We actually we prevent 450 deaths. If we increase vaccination to 50% of seniors, we avert 45% of those initial 10,000 deaths. And if we achieve 95% vaccination, yes, even though you will have more deaths that are occurring among vaccinated people than in unvaccinated people, that 95% vaccination has averted 85.5% of the deaths that would have occurred if everybody were unvaccinated. Think about another hyper extreme example. If everybody were vaccinated, then all deaths that occurred would be among vaccinated people. That doesn't mean that the vaccine is causing people to die. In fact, if everybody were vaccinated, the number of deaths that we actually observe would be way lower than the original 10,000 if nobody was vaccinated. So again, that's just a quick review of what happens when we tend to just compare the counts of things in two groups, in this case, vaccinated and unvaccinated people, without considering the size of those groups. In heavily vaccinated areas, you don't have many people who are not vaccinated. And so even if the rate of COVID death is higher in unvaccinated people, the number of deaths that occur might be lower than the number of deaths in vaccinated people. So again, please don't let this confuse you. This is not indicative of the vaccine either being harmful or not working. You can have both of those things be true in heavily vaccinated areas. The vaccine is preventing a lot of COVID-19 deaths, but you still might see more deaths in vaccinated people than in unvaccinated people. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know. Take care.